you and I can change and make that small difference, I think world is that much better place to live. That's all I have to say. So when we started this series called 3D Personality and 6D Vision, how exactly did I plan this? Where did I want to take it? And why did we have those 6 sessions where first we dwelled upon what three-dimensional personality was. Thereafter, 2 episodes on what 6-dimensional vision is. How did the 6-dimensional vision take you towards the thinking? Thinking in 12 different ways for the same issue, same event, same person, and then doing it multiple times. How thereafter we introduced the terms called simultaneity and sequentiality. Thereafter, macro and micro. We spoke about spectrum. And then we finally came down to timeline. This is how the first 6 episodes have gone as part of the quantum personality. You would be wondering that having learned all this, why exactly did we undergo all that? That why did I wake up 6 times so far at 5 a.m.? I have been telling you that very slowly I am taking you towards the actual leadership. And everything starts with our mind, with our thinking. Unless there is a change in the way we think, unless there is a change in the way we actually understand a particular issue, if there is a way we want to understand an issue without getting biased by anything else, other issues, the first thing we require is an absolutely open, receptive mind. What is the point of talking about quantum personality to people who do not want to change? Is there any point? So there is no point at all. When you talk to people who do not even want to consider. When you talk about change, that's why this episode is about the transition phase. Transition from where you are today, which you must analyze yourself, to where you want to go. Do you want to go? Are you convinced? Do you think there is a need to go, to change yourself? All these questions are your own. You have to ask yourself. And if you change, then in that case, are you going to make an impact on the organization? Consider it this way. I always give an example of a dog. You will always see some dogs around massive litter heaps, and comfortably in the center of the heap, the dog is always comfortably sleeping. Have you ever noticed that the dog never sleeps on that pile of all this rubbish? He cleans that very small area, goes around in circles, cleans that area, curls his body and quietly sits there. This is what exactly I mean by change. If the world is 1% better, I think it's a better world. And then when I speak about quantum personality, when you've understood that there cannot be a leader unless he has a 3D personality, then I take you very slowly to six dimensional vision on the thinking side. Then I actually told you how exactly to think, when to think, and what do you do with whatever you have thought. I have been giving numerous examples of personal life. And then finally, how do you put it on a timeline? We have spent first six episodes very, very deliberately only on this. Once I know, once you know that yes, you have done that deliberate exercise of thinking correctly, that is all that is required. That is all that is required. Nothing else. From here, the next step, logical step is now to ask ourselves, do I want to be changed? Or am I okay with whatever the life is all about? Unless you have the capacity to think correctly, think objectively, think for the greater good, think for the greater good of your organization, and think for the ultimate good of your nation. I think this is a very, very fair path. Is there anything in this path which is not correct? We think correctly, we think objectively, we think for the greater good, we think for the greater good of the organization, and we think for the greater good of the nation. That is all that is required. Do you require anything else? But now, think about the first six episodes I spoke of. What did I talk in those? I convinced you, told you that look around and you will find that 99.999% people are two dimensional. Even the better part of that was that these 99.999% are convinced that they are three dimensional. I just told you different tools to find out, where without even asking anyone, you simply observe a person and find out whether he is two dimensional or three dimensional. So, when we talk about the two dimensional personalities, what's the problem with being two dimensional? No, there is no problem. They are extremely capable people. The country is actually being run by them. You talk about the top bureaucrats, you talk about the armed forces, and you talk about the corporate, you talk about politics, you talk about anywhere for that matter. People are good, they're capable, they're doing their jobs. But then, where exactly is the problem? So, why are things not happening the way they should be happening? Reason is we lack leaders. We have competent people. The competency is being proved by that person by doing the exact job that was being done by his predecessor. What difference does a defense minister make on the defense forces or a home minister makes on home unless he does something absolutely out of the world which appeals to everyone? He doesn't have to be a prime minister. He doesn't have to be a minister. He can be a bureaucrat. He can be in corporate. He can be in district level politics. He can be in a district office, a tehsil office. Anywhere. You don't require a designation. You require an attitude. Leadership is an attitude. So why don't we develop leadership? Why are we only behind developing our skill sets? becoming more competent, only to end up doing the same job that the predecessor was doing, maybe slightly better if you are better than him. What else other than this? Have you ever thought over it? How did you make difference to that organization for that nation by doing exactly the same job that the predecessor was doing? So how where exactly was the effect of your being there seen? And that's why I say the first thing that we need to develop when we talk about quantum personality is rewiring our brain into correct thinking. Only then can we go to the second, third, fourth, fifth step towards becoming a leader. Today, if you expect that I can walk into a organization, say I'm from armed forces, I'm a veteran. I'm just taking this as an example. There's a gathering of officers. I just walk in and I tell them that no, you people are two dimensional and you are not leaders. It is blasphemy. Things are immediately taken to heart. Okay, that only leadership you find is in military, which is so much wrong. You do not have leadership in army. You have hierarchy in army. You have a very strict hierarchy in army, which is supported by very, very strict laws, which are applicable in armed forces. Remove the laws, will you have the same following? Likewise, when you talk about, say, bureaucracy. So, bureaucracy is hierarchical. Unless that person is in position of power, no one is going to listen to him. There was a day, if you people remember, you can Google it, Maharashtra had a total number of 28 Director Generals of Police. Imagine Indian Army having 28 generals at the same time. Can you imagine this ever? Or the Air Force has got 15 Air Chief Marshals. Or the country having 29 Prime Ministers, all together at the same time. But Maharashtra had 28 DGPs at the same time. So do you understand? This is a hierarchical position, or these designations have got no meaning when it comes to leadership. When it comes to quantum personality of a man is what makes him three-dimensional. When a person is three-dimensional, he is seen as a leader. The leader has to have dimensions. The leader cannot be two-dimensional. Leader has to be something different from the crowd, who does things, different things. The famous sayings of do things differently, leaders do things differently, they don't do different things. This all, as per me, is, pardon my language, is absolute crap. These are only spoken of. People say, let us carry out a 360-degree appraisal system. You try and criticize a boss, you are done for life. And still we say that my organization has got 360-degree appraisal and we have a very healthy system of assessment. No, you don't. You carry out peer review. Half the time people are exchanging, okay, this is what you'll write for me, I'll write for you. What are we doing? We are promoting two-dimensionality. We repeat anything that has been done earlier. So if you want to have a quantum personality, to become a leader, you will have to carefully listen to what I say, apply it yourself. It's a do-it-yourself kit. I have no solution how to change you, but I have a direction. And having followed that for 40 years myself, when I say truthfulness, trust me, I have not lied. And I have suffered a lot. I have been bold, I have been upright, absolutely. Integrity, absolutely top notch. Fine, but how did it help me? It helps me today when, with conviction, I talk to you, I talk on YouTube, I put my videos. I know there is no one in this world who will come up and say, this man lies. Probably that's the biggest satisfaction I have got from my own life. That today, if I appeal to youth, I talk to youth, and my weakness is for youth development, their character. When they listen to me, I feel so happy. Probably that's a place where satisfaction lies. So, is everything hierarchical, designation based? Is everything about power, position, and money? This is where exactly you and I have to sit and think that this path takes us towards quantum personality, this path takes us towards leadership. Do we want that? Do I want that? Or is it that I am perfectly okay getting power, position, and money? The three things which define a person today. The choice is yours. You might say, no, this entire series is taking me a wrong path. I need not listen to him. Absolutely right, you are. You have a right not to take this path. These paths are not taken by all and sundry, they are taken by people with determination. If at the end of 40 years of my uh, career and work life and still continuing, if I have this sort of a confidence of actually sharing with you how my life has gone and how I followed, not that I did not face problems, every day there was a problem, there was a decision dilemma, what I had to take. And then I was in armed forces. I could not have had that sort of a liberty to speak, probably the type of liberty you have if you are not in armed forces. So I have survived that. Survived in the sense, no, I have done a very wonderful job, absolutely head held high. Today I get more respect from the armed forces people who know me and otherwise from last 40 years than I could have got any from anyone else. To me, that matters more than the rank that I wear or the power that I have or the position that I have or the money. So the choices are individual. And hence, my first six episodes were only for one thing, to rewire your thinking, which is a voluntary measure. If you do not want to rewire, perfectly okay. So today, when I talk about this particular episode, when I say change or be damned, so not that you are going to be damned with the sense there is some catastrophe going to come on you. No, nothing will come on you. You will continue the way you are. You will be still doing a wonderful job wherever you are. But then forget about one thing. Forget about your ever becoming a leader. You will never get that tag of being a leader, that you are different. You're happy with that. Why not? Today we talk about youth. Youth at home and youth steps out in the world. He is confused. There are two different things. We talk about youth. He steps out, studies, and joins government service, wherever he may join. He may join as a clerk, he may join as a bureaucrat. A youth steps out, he joins armed forces. He may join as a sepoy at the bottom level, or he may join as an officer. A youth joins corporate. He may join at a workers level, he may join at a assistant managers level, but he starts his work. He may join a bank, he may join as a clerk. What exactly is happening? He gets a shock when he starts working. The ethos, the ethics, the culture, or the values he has seen at home. And not everything is positive, I must say. Not at all. He finds the world is not same. So anyone who has come out of the house and goes and sees the world, why should it happen that the children see a different world outside than what they thought existed, because the only world they had was their home, but they find the world different. When I say numerous times that personal life and professional life, they are same. They seamlessly things go into each other. So we have that famous thing that I don't mix my personal life and professional life. Yeah, I know. Why doesn't one? Because you don't want to be exposed. You're scared of being exposed. But what happens when you hear about government officials, their homes being raided, and crores coming out of their beds or almirahs? Don't the children know? Or what happens when you see the government uh, assets being misused by the parents, by the father, mother at home? Don't the children see that? Is it not professional and private mixing of personal life mixing? You see, armed forces, as a person rises higher, so they have a what do you call a word, rank has its privileges. So, under that, you justify anything. Don't the children see at home? So, when a child is seeing the effect of, don't the children talk in that? Do you know who my father is? Typical famous Delhi line, जानता नहीं मेरा बाप कौन है. And the smallest thing, uh, uh, children are working at studying at home, and the stationery father comes from the office and gives him the stationery. Isn't professional life and personal life mixing? So either we keep these two so separate that we say that yeah, professional life and this is separate, but no. So when they are same, when everything is same, why do we have to give this shock to the youth? That is first. Second, the people who join new, they join with values which are taught, say, within that organization. Armed forces has a system of teaching. Likewise, all other organizations, including corporate, have their inductions. So they everyone talks about what my company is, what this company is, what our values are. And when the same person puts in 4 or 5 years of service, he suddenly sees all those values getting evaporated. Where are the values anymore? They aren't there. And that's the time he realizes that if I don't do this, I am not likely to get my next promotion. And then he starts seeing capability has got nothing to do, because there are other factors that matter that give them position, a promotion, bigger exposure. A armed forces guy, a second lieutenant joins academy, he is taught such ethics, code of conduct. It's mind boggling. 4 or 5 years. Soon as he starts understanding the armed forces, the only thing he sees is a race for the ranks, where anything and everything that was learned in the academy is thrown to winds. And then he sees that throughout his service career. You talk about bureaucrats, you talk about so corporates, you talk about any place, this is what he sees. Where exactly is the sink taking place? So the youth is thrown in the sea, and he thereafter goes, and he simply gets absolutely flabbergasted by what he is or where he has found himself. So if you are that youth, if you are that mid level person, if you are that senior person, or if you are a founder of a company, if you are not the change, who will be the change? And only leaders can make change. Rest everyone can only do the predecessor's job better. Let him be a vice president of a company, let him be a president of a company. They will always do the job which was being done by their predecessor slightly in a better way. So when we see that the race for power, position, and money is endless, when we see that at core there is an individual at the core. Now this individual can be you. When you see that the values, everything have been left far behind, and there is no match between what you grew up with and what you see, or that you also are as much part of that power, position, money race. If you identify yourself that even I am doing that today, this is the place where that point comes in: change or be damned. Continue the way you are. So when we talk about change, the first change is thinking. The first change is rewiring your mindset. The first change is the realization that yes, there is something not correct, and in order to become leader, probably one has to be much stronger internally. Your core strength of character is what makes you a leader. Your core strength of your ethics and values and the way you practice them makes you a leader. Making you a leader does not mean that getting a position. Making yourself a leader means having impact on the environment in which you breathe. Today, when I breathe in an environment where I have exposed myself to the society. I could have quietly kept myself in my retired life. But no, I do not. I know what I have done for 40 years is worth sharing. I know what I have done for 40 years. There is no one who can put a blemish on me, my character. So that gives me that sort of a strength, which might sound and come out as arrogance, which I think is fine. Having this sort of a character, having practiced it for all this while, for 40 years, trust me, it is not easy at all. It is not easy at all. You suffer, and you suffer nice and proper. But then I was ready for all that. There were other things. To me, it mattered more of what my two children and my wife think about me than what the world thinks about me. I was more interested to know what the 35 cadets whose life the government of India, the nation had given in my hand as an instructor in Indian Military Academy, what they think. Even today it matters to me so much. All of them are 50 years plus minus, that's their age. But today I think about them, that what do they think that this was our instructor 28 years, 25 years back. And is our instructor same what he said he was, or what he imbibed in us, taught us? So that is what gives me strength. Today, when I write down series and series, I don't have any script. And much as my friends suggest to me, I must Google, I must do this, 100% content of my videos is always extempore, zero research, zero. It's only my life I talk about. So today, when I say change or be damned, so choice is up to you. Where exactly do you want to lead your life? What exactly is the impact you want to leave on your children, on the people who are in your environment, regardless of what your age is. If you are in corporate, I always have more respect for the corporate than the hierarchical services. There is nothing called lateral induction in hierarchical service, whereas corporate always has a choice of removing and hiring people. So this means if you are in corporate, you can always make an impact more on the organization than the government organizations or hierarchical organizations. You always have a choice. So you will always find a corporate is always a tightly held organization. Yeah, it's entirely a different thing that the type of values that you have there. People talk at times ill about it, but yeah, I think that's a fantastic place to be, and to be with honesty and truthfulness also, with integrity. You can be. I have enjoyed being in corporate like that. So can you be. Coming down finally to this session, which was about change or be damned. So now today you will understand what dilemma everyone faces today, regardless of what profession you are in. So with 99.99% people like that, two-dimensional, where exactly are the leaders? We find few in politics. Regardless of parties, there are people I am impressed with. There are few I have seen who have made impact in bureaucracy. Whatever I came to know, there are so many of them. I see them in corporate, and yes, it makes a difference. The organizations are different. What we want this breed to grow, and you can make the difference. So hence, if today was the change, about the change, or to be damned, tomorrow it is going to be, it is you who can change. So tomorrow I will introduce you to the way forward in this quantum series. How exactly are we going to be proceeding ahead? Why we are going to be going that way? What all additional things now we must start learning so that we now are ready for change. So anyone who wants to know more about it, I'm sure will join. Anyone who finally makes a decision today, no, I'm fine the way I am. So he will not join, which is fine, absolutely. It is democracy. We all are talking to each other because we want to be together. Right then, thank you so much. We will talk about you be the change. And I'll talk more tomorrow on how I intend to take this series forward so that you're very clear. One of the things which I am going to be talking tomorrow is out of box thinking. This is a term which I hate from the core of my heart. I always ask the person one thing: who the hell put you there in first? So, with this sort of interesting thing, let's have interaction tomorrow again. Thank you so much. Bye bye and Jai Hind.